I'm Michael Mendoza, and we're going to be doing knife cuts again. Today I already have my carrot squared off and ready to cut. I'm going to start off with the julienne. First thing I'm going to do is make this a more suitable length. Then I'm going to go ahead and make planks out of it, really thin for the julienne. This one was too thin. Alright, then I'm going to pick a few out. Now we're going to actually do the julienne, which is the thin strips. It's hard to do it with the... There we go. We have our julienne carrots here. And from there we would take some and we could get a brunoise, which is an even smaller dice than a small dice. Just like that. Perfect little squares. And now we're going to do a bâtonnet on the carrot. Now I'm going to do my bâtonnet on the side of the carrot. These are a bit thicker, so I'm going to go thicker slices. Take a couple of these. And actually, I don't have to trim them up much, just a little bit. Just a little less. Just a bit more. I have my guide here, a bâtonnet here. Here's 1/4 of an inch. And we have our julienne, which is 1/16. Bâtonnet. Let's get a couple more. And now that we have our bâtonnet, we'll do a small dice. Here. Small dice is 1/4 of an inch, the same thickness of the bâtonnet. We're just going across and do it again. Dicing it just like that. Now we're going to do our onion. Alright, now I'm going to do a dice on our onion. So first I'm going to get it in half. Better to work on a flat surface. Then we're going to trim off part of the root end, but we leave it intact. And we cut out the other side. Get this side. That'll actually make it easier to when we go through the onion. So now I'm going to peel it. See, it holds it, but you could just pull it right off. That's going to keep the rest of the onion together when we start dicing through it. So let's start with this side. First I'm going to make some cuts all the way up to the top of the onion, the root end here that we saved, but we're not going to go all the way through. My dog's drinking water. 1 second. Sorry, now we're going to continue dicing our onion. Just using the tip of our of our knife, going all the way to the top, but not going all the way through, so it keeps it together. Now we're gonna go sideways on here and cut halfway through the onion. It'll make our dice smaller. And again, we're not going all the way through on that. It'll keep everything together. Now we're just going to go through and dice it up. And see, as we get to the end, it's still holding together. If we had cut this side off too, everything would have been falling apart right now. It would have been hard to dice. And now, there's like virtually no waste because we got everything but that little end. And we have a nice small dice on the onion here. And we would repeat the same on the other side. Alright, so now I'm going to do the tomato concasse. I already went ahead and did my X on the other side, and I cut out the root side with my paring knife. So I have my boiling water. I'm going to blanch it for 45 seconds until the skin comes loose, and then we're going to put it into an ice bath. Alright, so now we blanch it. I'm just going to shock it in some ice water. And now I'm going to peel the skin. The X here helps with that because you can just peel off the whole layer like that. And then I dip it in the water to help separate the skin too. And get some of that gristle off of it. And now we're gonna start cutting it up. First we're just gonna go in half, lengthways. So we have a flat surface. Then we're gonna take our paring knife and we're going to cut out the inside, this white part here with all the seeds and the guts. And we'll take the back of our knife and scrape out all the rest of the seeds that are in there. Try and get a flatter surface to work with here. Do the same on the other side. All those seeds coming out now. Put that into our waste. And now we'll just go ahead and we'll do a dice. So we'll do first strips lengthways. Then we'll turn it over. And get a small dice on there. Our tomato concasse. Do the same thing on the side. There we go, tomato concasse. Alright, so now we're going to do our minced garlic. I had a little clove of garlic that I cut the brown stem off, the root I mean, and I just peeled. Now we're just going to go ahead and hit it with the flat of our knife, get it nice and mashed there, and we can just start going through it. And we'll just keep breaking it up until it's a good mix. There's another method to do this, which is more like an onion, which I'll show you after this clove. Right now we have like a good rough chop, but we want to take it even further to get it to a mince. There we go. Good mince on a garlic right there. And if you wanted to, you could even, if the recipe called for a paste, you would take the back of your knife and just press on it like that. Rub on a little bit of salt too, and just continue doing that until it's a nice paste. I'm going to show you the other way to do the garlic. Alright, so now we're going to do the other method. We have our garlic with the skin on. First thing I'm going to do is take off this little root end. It's bitter and you just don't want it in there. Now we're going to do the easier way to peel it, in my opinion, than ripping off each piece. Just smash it and pull the skin right off. This piece too. Now, the other method. You just take shallow cuts, the length of the garlic clove. It's a little hard on this one because of how it's smashed, but same principle as the onion. And then you just go straight through it. And it already gives us a smaller base than with the other method. And from there you just the same principle, just keep going through it until you have a nice mince. It's the garlic mince. Now I've gone ahead and wiped off my board and knife so we can do some chopped parsley. I already destemmed it. Just pulled the leaves right off the stem and tried to separate them a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and just give it a rough chop. Now when you get to this part, instead of continually doing this, slamming into it, you can bruise the parsley that way. So you want to go slicing it. It won't bruise the parsley as bad. And you can tell when it's being bruised when it leaves a lot of green on the board when you're done. Now that we have a good rough chop on this parsley here, just a little piece more. Alright. I'm going to just get it together. And I have here some cheesecloth so we can wash out the parsley so it doesn't stain anything on a plate or add any discoloring to the dish. Just take it here. Just make sure I bundle it up tight. See that to the side. Now we're just going to go ahead and make sure it's nice and wet. Just squeeze off avocado plants in the way. Just squeeze off any of that water left in there. You can see even some of the green coloring coming down out of there. And when we open it back up, see it discolored the cheesecloth? We have our washed chopped parsley. So now we're gonna do our down. 1 second. Alright, so now we have our orange here. We're gonna do our orange supremes. So I have my paring knife. I'm gonna go around the entire length of the orange and just remove the rind like that. We want to try and get rid of the white part, but we don't want to get into the actual flesh. So it's better to just cut away less this first time so you don't actually cut into the flesh. See, now we're starting to reveal the flesh. I'm just going to go around the length of the orange and getting rid of the rest of this rind now. I've gone through and taken out all the rind and most of the white part, the white flesh there. So now I'm going to go in, and each one of these is a little orange section. So I'm going to go cut diagonally inwards to separate it from the rest of the orange. But we don't want to get any of that membrane in there, so we have to try and cut away from it. So all we're left with is the little slice of orange flesh, the supreme. So now I'm going to go through the whole orange and remove the sections for each. It should, once you cut it on either side, just slip away from the membrane like that. And all you should be left with these little sections of membrane. There we go. All of these sections removed from the orange. All you have left is the membrane and the husk of it. And you have these little supremes that you could use in a salad or a dessert or whatever. And all you do is just eat them. No peeling or deskinning required.